is all I have left. Sold my house, my gold no less. The wolves are circled in my huddling hands, but this man's much stronger than the average man. Today the market has taken another dip to restock, refuel.
So we are not muted anymore, and now they can see us as well. Welcome to today's show, everyone that is watching, and Jona, I'm very happy to have you back. So 1 year ago on July 3rd, I published the video. I don't even recall if it was live or not. I recorded a lot of interviews in the start. I did not live stream them.
What recorded?
It was recorded, and that marked your 1 year anniversary for Atomica, because today 1 year ago it launched, which is crazy for a lot of people that it hasn't existed longer. So let's start there. How does it feel that your platform is 1 year old now?
It's crazy. For me, it feels like the opposite. For me, it feels like it just launched like yesterday. It really, time really flew by. It doesn't feel like a year, but a lot has happened. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And they say something that, oh yeah, it says that you are Javi on the stream. That's why. That was my problem. Yeah. So, yeah, and like, okay. So in 1 year, you have created 36 million. Well, you haven't created, but your Atomicasset standard has created 36,231,758 NFTs.
That's a big number.
That is a big number, and that is like, I know that this, but explain it for us how it feels that, like, you set out a mission to create a better NFT standard. You wanted to save more resource cost by creating the templates and the schemas, and that also added a lot of other benefits. So how does it feel that people have adopted your code and done it so quickly?
I mean, it's super fun for me personally. I actually remember before doing all the pink stuff, like, I always liked programming, but I was kind of like frustrated that whatever I was doing was useless in a way. And I was thinking, like, come on, I just need some project that is actually used, like some can be open source, whatever. And then, like, we set out to build Atomicassets, and now Atomicassets has been such a big thing. And it's like, whenever we see someone building something on top of Atomicassets, there's a little bit of pride involved there, because I just think, like, we built something that is actually useful for other people, and actually something that adds value to, like, the world as a whole, to our ecosystem. It's very, very fun to see.
Yeah, and like, so the first thing that you made different from the previous ones that we had, because for us, we were here before, we had simple assets before, and they were launched, I think it was 1.5 years or 2.5 years. I can't, no, 1.5 years before you, I think it was. And you saw what they did, and you saw things that you wanted to improve and build upon. And what you changed, one of the biggest things, is that you also built a market contract where people could list their NFTs without moving them away from their wallet. And you also allow any other marketplace to just say, hey, we also want to be part of this, and you can all use the same base of NFTs, but the fees you give away to them and you don't take yourself. Yeah. And that is awesome. Like, how was the thought process there?
Well, I mean, this is also like where our intention wasn't to build a big marketplace and become successful with that. Our intention was just, hey, we want to build an NFT game, but we need to have the foundation to do it. And then we just thought, like, okay, how can we make this foundation as good as possible? Like, one, Atomicassets, obviously the standard itself, but then also Atomic Market, where our idea was just like, if we now build just our own marketplace that we use just for ourselves, No one else is going to adopt atomic assets. Also because like the other marketplaces that were already there for simple assets, we were thinking like if we just become this tribal thing again, where every marketplace has their own users and has their own listings, and it's just complicated. And we just wanted to make it simple, and we didn't really care about like how the fees would be structured. It was just like our idea was, well, the marketplace that facilitates the trading, they should get the fees, and we live with that. And I still think that's the right decision, because like even if that means for us as a company, it may be easier for others to build competing marketplaces, it just elevates the ecosystem as a whole. And even if we then have a slightly smaller piece of the pie, if the pie itself is just bigger, that's awesome for us.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, if we go and look on atomicmarket.io, you will see that there are 6 registered ones, but 2 of them are not linked. So I can actually not go into them. So they are registered as markets, but they have not provided a link, I guess, for their system. And if you have been to WAX, so you know that Atomichub is the biggest one. This is the main platform, and other marketplaces has tried to take you, but people always come back to your marketplace. Like NFT Hive has a lot of advanced data and filtering, very good to find. Like a lot, like all of their tools are awesome to have, but for some reason people use it for their tools and then they come back and they browse NFTs on Atomicab. And Waxdash actually has very good user interface for people to experience, but for some reason everyone stays on Atomicab, which is like, it is awesome that we have more, and I wish that we had more people building awesome marketplaces to compete. And I guess kinda NFT Blocks is doing that as well, since they are targeting, like NFT Blocks are targeting the primary sales, which is awesome. They're providing great tools for you.
Yeah, they are. And like, it's honestly, we didn't expect to, like in the current position, we're obviously like very far ahead of the others, and we didn't really expect that. And especially like in the beginning, we had other established marketplaces like the Myth market ecosystem and collectibles, who were like, when we launched, they were pretty much all even.
Yeah.
And then like, we obviously try our best to make Atomicab good, and like it's great to see people using our platform. Like obviously that's our goal, but it's not really what we expected. And I think there definitely is room for other marketplaces. As you said, Nefty is doing a great job. Like obviously.
Yeah, and they are providing tools like for a lot of people. So when you launched, you had this NFT creator that actually made creating NFTs very simple. Yet it is complicated for a new person, because hey, a collection, what is that? What is a template? What is a schema? How does these things work? Adding data, what is a string? Like these kind of things is obvious for you, and is obvious for someone that is used to work with code or reading JSON data and everything like that. But for anyone else, this is still very complicated to get the hang of. When you do that, it's simple. So what has been the process there? Like, what's the thought?
Yeah, I mean, this like, it is sort of painful that it's been a year now, because when we launched with the NFT creator, we knew that the NFT creator wasn't that good. We knew that it could be like improved significantly, and we always thought, okay, now we launch, and then like just next month we fix it. And now it's 12 months. It's not fixed yet, but actually like we have front-end developers on our team now that are not just Fabian and I, like other people. And actually NFT creator is being worked on right now. So I think it won't be too much longer until it gets the first rework. And then likely like after this first rework, which will just make it a bit more structured, fix some of the annoying bugs that have been there for a year now, and like make it a bit better. And then I think there will likely be a second like restructuring when we then get a UX UI designer on our team to actually tackle it from like this UX perspective, to then not only make it function properly, but also make it intuitive to use.
Yeah, I mean, and that is very needed. And we have a lot of things that we know that is coming, like a creator for drops and things like that. But you have had to reprioritize, because you have been a 2-person team for almost the whole year. You had some contracts, you had some people helping you a little bit, but now you have more full-time people helping, which should increase the speed. So
Yeah, and it's like it's pretty crazy that up until like 1.5 months ago, it was pretty much just us two, Fabian and I, working full time. And it's like also a bit our fault because our recruiting process in the beginning just wasn't good. Probably just caused by like us never having done this before. We didn't really know how to recruit people, how to find good people. We just posted our like job listing on a lot of job boards and saw like what happened, and we got some applications, and actually one of the front-end guys working now came through that, which so I guess it worked in a way. But then like we also found a great recruiter who we're working with now, and like she's helping us a ton with finding like really great people to get on our team.
yeah, but like finding people that can do things properly is hard, and I guess that also takes a lot of time. But like, so you set up to build this, you set up to also change the creator. You wanted to do that quickly, but you noticed that very fast. Well, soon after you launched, there was a lot of users. You had a lot of traffic, and that came with some problems. So, what kind of problems have you dwelled into and solved during the way? Like,
Yeah, I mean, from a technical perspective, it's just the scale. It's like it's one thing to build an API and a website and all of that for 1,000 people. It's an entirely different thing to build it for 100,000 people. And if you have like peaks of 10,000 users on the site who are all like refreshing the site, and then you have these big launches where tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of NFTs get minted, and all the tech needs to actually keep up. That's when we see like, I think like January, February this year, that's when we really saw like us getting into problems for some launches where we actually had like real problems, noticeable problems. And this is where Fabian has been like just working nonstop on optimizing our technology and scaling that and getting that to keep up. And I think now it does. Like now we can actually quite confidently say like if we have 10,000 users on our site, we can handle that, and it won't break. But like that has been a huge challenge, obviously. And then also like just as we were building, and for example, talking about the NFT creator, because that has always been on our to-do list, but then it's always like something else pops up and it just seems more important in the moment. And like a small bug here, small bug there, small improvement here, and small change there. And then obviously like building a new feature with like the packs, for example. And then there's like always been other things, and just limited by our capacity as just two people working on it. That's why we weren't able to complete a lot of that. And that's why I'm so happy that we're now actually building a team to tackle these issues going forward.
yeah, it will be nice to delegate work, but is that something that like, okay, you have just had help for a little bit, or it's like 6 weeks or something you said before we started, and how is it to delegate the work? Do you like, how much time and effort does it go into us controlling the work they do, making sure the code is legit? How does that process work?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the process is very easy because that's just Fabian's job. For Fabian, the process is not so easy. So, like, obviously, they now have, like, I think 3 meetings every week where they just discuss progress. Obviously, Fabian is in the process of training all of them, which, like, they need to understand the code base. They need to understand the approach to, like, just dealing with like the blockchain, and because it's like blockchain is not rocket science, but if you've never dealt with it before, it's like this new approach. So we need to teach that.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing good. And I was just like talking to Fabian, I think 2 days ago, where he just said like, it's so nice to actually see things get done. Like all these things, like this huge to-do list that has just been piling up, and he never got to it because there were always other like fires that he needed to put out. And now they're actually getting done. And I think like we're generally on a good path to like actually get things done for the future.
Yeah, and like, okay, so you are building out everything. You have a team now, so things should start to go faster. But what kind of traffic do you see on your site every day?
I mean, it's usually in the range of like 50 to 100,000 unique users every day. So it's quite a lot. And then like active users at any time are usually like somewhere between 1,000 for the low times, and then going up to 2, 3, 4,000 for higher times. And especially then for launches, it goes really up, because like whenever there's a big launch, people are just flocking on the site, wanting to buy their packs, open the packs, and all of that. Yeah, and like we've obviously, especially like in April, we've seen a huge peak, which has since gone down because there was just this huge media attention, huge hype happening.
Yeah.
And like actually, and genuinely looking at this, like obviously graph is going down, but I think it's actually great just how slowly it's going down and how it's stabilizing now, because it means like obviously there was a ton of hype, and obviously that's not sustainable. We can't grow, like we can't double in size every month. That doesn't work. But like that, a lot of this hype is actually like sticking. I feel like a lot of the people that are brought in by the hype are seeing what this ecosystem is about, and are sticking here.
Yeah, there's a lot of new people that are coming, and like Alien Worlds is one of the big guys that brought attention to the Wax ecosystem and brought in a lot of new people. And then Our Planet is one of the projects that has kept people around and also brought in more people, because there is like you can buy NFTs, you can collect them, you can sell and trade, and it's fun. You can buy packs and open them. But at some point, like you want to do something more, and then you have had Art Planet, which is like the experience is limited, but at least you have something that you can do, something that is fun, something that like you go in and you try to get some elements, or you just get more NFTs to stake more and get more ether that you can use in the ecosystem. And we have a lot of projects building out that, and some of them, in my opinion, won't last for a long time, which is how it always works. And like the amount of projects and collections and I don't know what we should call them. I mean, I guess we can just call them collections and projects that have launched using the Atomicub and Atomicassets. How has that been for you? Like, there's not one project, it's thousands of them being launched. There's hundreds of collections every day being created. Like, yeah, what's that about?
Yeah, and that's like honestly pretty much the most exciting thing, just seeing all these new things getting built. Obviously, we had like in the past, and still happening, we have a lot of these collectible collections where like you have ultra rare, or you have the R2 team, who are just putting out high quality art and like different series. I was actually like just yesterday just working on getting ready the horror series 2, getting that ready, and seeing like this huge amount of art and all these different variations that they're putting in. Like that's fun. And then we also have these like projects where the NFTs actually do something.
Yeah,
Like Alien Worlds, like these games. And I mean, the most exciting thing is I'm getting so many people just DMing me, or like writing emails, just asking, hey, we're planning this really great project and we need some help. And it's just, I know of so many projects that are really exciting, that are going to be coming out, that I honestly can't wait for all this to happen. And then at the same time, we have like a lot of these independent artists who just are creating the art as NFTs and like spreading that on their Twitter and on their socials. And they're making some money from that. And I think like that's great for them. And they're putting a value into the ecosystem. And it's like, all of these are exciting. Honestly, for me personally, the game projects are really exciting, because that's where like that's where my background is, and that's why I really originally started working on Atomicassets. But seeing all of this, like just seeing people create stuff through the tools that we build,
yeah.
it's just super fun to see.
Yeah, it gotta be crazy, but it also like this success and this activity comes with a lot of problems. We see a lot of collections that use stolen art. We see a lot of them that just try to scam people. We see projects that launch and they have a website, they look professional, all is good. Yeah. They promise things, and then if you just dig into it, you can start to find holes. When you ask them about them, they are very offended, of course. It's very hard to know if they are legit or not, and then we find out, like we have a few collections that we know that have come. They promise a game, they promise some big stuff, and then they just end up scamming everyone. Some of them for over $100,000, like big amount of money purely in scams. And most of the scams are more basic, where they take some other template or NFT, create them with a collection that is very similar in name. Perhaps they change an L for an I, or just double the letter or something. And they go and they sell them and they get a few whacks. But this is a big problem, and this is coming. The more users we have, the more activity, the more of these problems will occur. So how are you guys dealing with that, and what's the process behind those? Because it's very hard.
Yeah, it's very hard. It's also very frustrating, just for us. And actually, I think we've been quite lucky in that, like up until, I don't know, 3 months ago, we actually saw very little of that. Like we saw some of these like collections that promised the game and then just disappeared, which is frustrating. But we didn't see a lot of these just purely fake collections, which we now see a lot, unfortunately. And I mean, like those are two different kind of scams. The first one is pretty like rudimentary. They just create fake NFTs and hope someone falls for it. Like what we can do against it is obviously we try to like monitor it. Monitor it is the wrong word, but just look around, and whenever we see something like this, obviously we blacklist it immediately. We have quite a few people in the community that have permissions to blacklist, so that like they don't need to. This guy, for example, yeah. So that like when they see something, they can also blacklist it. Yeah. We want to build like a somewhat automated system for that, and to just detect like obvious like fakes where they just copy images, like that can be detected. It's sort of like a cat and mouse game, and perhaps the most important thing is just that we add a bunch of warnings on Atomichub so that users actually realize like this collection is not not whitelisted. It perhaps even is a new collection with not many sales, and then they're just like, then their brains switch on and they just see, oh, okay, there might be something wrong here, and then they notice it. That's probably the biggest defense we have. But then also blacklisting it as soon as we see it, and hopefully automate it, in not too far in the future. But I think the more frustrating problem is these elaborate scammers who are going through the whitelisting process, like with probably even original art. They probably just hire some artist for a few $100 to create them some art. They go through this process, and then they sort of trick our whitelisting staff into whitelisting them. Although like we can't really blame our whitelisting staff, because like how should they know? And then once they're whitelisted, they just pull off their scams, like either then creating fake NFTs, or they promise something which they then don't deliver. So like that's frustrating for two reasons. One, of course, because it scams users. Like they just give away money for something which is different than what they're expecting. Yeah. But it also makes the whole whitelisting process so much more difficult for all the genuine artists. I know like how frustrated people are, and I can truly understand it. It's like we just right now, like the only way we have to combat these scams is by making the whitelisting process really difficult, to like have a lot of like checks in there where we're trying to make sure that the collections and projects are genuine. But sometimes genuine artists, they just don't pass the checks, and then they're super frustrated. And I can fully understand it, because like they've done nothing wrong, but now they are suffering because of some scammers who like honestly could just put their energy into a genuine project and also be successful. That's the next thing that's frustrating. But like that's just me venting. Like next step is how do we actually make it better? Like one is, I think we can do a better job of like structuring our whitelisting team, and then like putting a more formal process in place, where right now we sort of like have some guidelines, and then our whitelisting people, they just go off of those. I think we can structure it more. And then we will probably have to do just KYC. We just have to KYC the people, and then just sue whoever is trying to scam users into the ground. I think like if we do that just once or twice, and then we have headlines of us really suing someone, then
Yeah.
scammers will get scared and stop. And like I think that's probably the way we need to go.
Yeah, like, yeah, you probably will. Like, it will be hard to keep like actually win a case like that, but just enough. It might be enough to make people scared.
Yeah, like even if we don't win, if they're just very busy, then it's just not worth it for them. If they, but there should be like right now, it just feels like they can do whatever they want, and either it works or it doesn't, but there are no repercussions. But what they're doing, like it's illegal.
Yeah,
It just
exactly.
is, and just because no one is, no one is hunting them down right now, it doesn't make it legal. It's still illegal, and if we just like get that into people's heads, I think that will help.
Yeah, and I think that actually how boring it even is, it's something that has to be done, and the KYC process makes so much sense for collections. Like you can do a KYC for a business, you can do a KYC for a person. The only problem, I guess, is that we do have some artists from poorer countries. They might not have a lot of money, they might not even have an identification. So that will create a problem for them. They will not be able to get whitelisted. They will not be able to be a part of Atomichub.
Yeah, and that's honestly the reason why we haven't done it so far. And also because like this is the blockchain space, and we respect that some artists just want to stay anonymous. And it's like that's why we never done it so far, because we always thought like maybe we can just solve it without KYC. But at this point, it might be just the lesser evil to just do KYC.
Yeah, I think like it has to be done in some way. And sure, you can fake a KYC, you can buy a passport, you can buy an ID, but that's another illegal activity that they will do. And I don't know, like, I don't think you can ever protect anyone 100%. It will not be possible. And also, something that is hard is that some projects will launch NFTs, they will launch a website, it will look great, and they will not be able to reach their promises, they will not be able to deliver a game, and that is not illegal to do.
Yeah.
Like they might honestly try to do something as much as they can, but if they fail in some way, people will scream that they scammed them, they will say that they done something illegal, and that is not true. They set up for a quest, they wanted to do this, and they failed. They might have run out of money, they might have had some family issues, they are unable to do it, their developer might have quit. Like there's a lot of reasons for a project to fail, and buying a lot of these early packs and NFTs from projects is like a Kickstarter. The only difference is that you don't have milestones until the team actually get the money. They get the money from day one, which is, in my opinion, something great, because they can start to hire people from the start. But it's a problem, I don't know.
Yeah, and like what you're saying is true. Obviously, like failing is not illegal, and failing, like that's sort of part of it, and that's also like what buyers need to just be aware of. Like they're buying this NFT, and like if the project and the team behind it is genuine, then they will try their best to make it happen. But like it's a risky investment. Like I mean, it's not even an investment; it's like a risky purchase, sort of. They're purchasing something and with the hopes that it will pay off, but like there's risk involved.
Yeah, there is a high, like all NFT projects is high risk speculations. I treat it like, me personally, I don't go to gamble sites. I do not go to casinos. I don't gamble because I know myself, and I think that is so much fun. So I won't do it because I have this. Okay, I will only put in this money, and then like get bored and like, okay, a little bit more, and that's not. That's not something I will do, but I do it in NFTs every day. I buy NFTs, I throw in more money. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna buy more of this, and then I end up buying more anyway. But so far, I've been lucky enough that has not been an issue. It has been a positive for me. But I'm in a lucky position where I get a lot of information. I talk to a lot of teams. I digest the information. I've done my errors, which a lot of people have not, and they will go and they will buy the bad projects, they will buy the bad NFTs out of like, if they are correct and you buy them early for a cheap price, you will get rewarded for it. So they take that risk. Some people know about the risk, some people buy and do not expect anything bad to happen. And I guess that's part of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just that obviously there's risk involved if you just see it as a monetary value, which I guess a lot of people do, and then that's just part of the game. Like I would argue that like the fun you have along the way is also worth something. Like even
Yeah,
if
for
you
sure.
even if you don't become rich, like even if you're not buying a Lambo off of your proceeds after, like
Yeah.
if it's just fun in the process, that's also worth something.
And so your whitelisting and your blacklist, is that something that is public for other projects to use, or is that something in your private database?
Well, it's stored on the blockchain, and other projects are using it. Like no one ever asks us; they just do. But it's sort of like it just is this way now, and we don't really complain because like I get it. Like we have 4 people on our support team, like part time, who are doing this, and not every project can afford to have their own people just going through whitelisting requests. And then if they kind of piggyback off of ours, that's fine. Sometimes I worry a bit because it just gives us a little bit of power that we don't necessarily want to have.
Yeah.
Because it like if other people start requiring our whitelist, it just puts more pressure on us, and it puts more like expectations on us from people, which I feel like it isn't always great, but I understand it, and I get it, and we're not complaining if someone does use it.
Yeah, and so SD World is saying the comment, like this is a very common comment, and they think that just more people and just adding devs is something that you do like this, and that all devs you hire is good devs, and that you will solve a bot problem in no time at all just by hiring random developers. And for first, it is not that simple. For the second, they have just hired more people, and they are hiring more people. We have gone through that in this interview already.
It would be nice though if it was like that. And like,
Yeah, but
there is some blame to put on us. I've said it before we started. I believe like we started out slow, like with hiring, just because we're 22-year-old guys. We've never hired people before, unsurprisingly. So it's like new for us, and I think we made a bunch of mistakes, and that's why it like took a bit to like actually start. So I think we're a bit behind in terms of getting people on the project. So there is certainly some blame to put on us. At the same time, like what definitely isn't true is that we're just like too cheap and we don't want to spend the money and we just want to buy our Lambos. Like that's not true. Like if we could just snap the finger and spend all of our fees and get our problems fixed,
yeah, stop
that would
there.
be amazing.
There has been over $56 million of trades on Atomichub according to DappRadar. From that, your team, if you just had sold it at the same day you got your payments, because you get a fee on each sale, and if we just go that number is correct, you have got over $1 million US. How much has you paid yourself in salary so far?
Yeah, the zero, absolutely nothing.
So you guys have taken zero money for your personal gain out of all of this money you have earned.
Actually, that's not quite true. We had no salary at the end of last year. Like Fabian and I, we each took, I think, 9,000 euros out of the company just because that's tax free. That's like, and so we just did that. But apart from that, no salary. But we will probably start with that. No.
Yeah, and I think that's important for people to understand. You have not hired people because you want to take all the money and buy all the riches yourself. You are building something, and you are inexperienced in running a company. You are young people, and you are doing your best, and you have done mistakes, and you will learn on the way. And you have now got help to hire people, and you got devs hired, you got customer support people, and you said you have 4 people working part-time. How much time are they putting into verifying collections?
They're doing like, I think on average around 20 hours, like 10 to 20 hours per week, each of them. Some more, some less. And I think we probably need we probably soon need someone who's just there full time, also managing the others, because like right now that's also done by us. And I think it could be better if we just had someone to like look over all of that and just have the time to really tackle it. And that's something where I fully understand also the frustration when people just can't reach us. Yeah. And it's like, I know I have DMs in my Telegram that are a week old that I just didn't read. And like I promise it's not because just I'm like this arrogant piece of something that's driving around in his Lambo. That's not it. I just genuinely don't really find the time to do it, and I really try. And this is something where just hiring more people will help. But as you said, it's not as easy as like just snapping the fingers and then you have someone to handle that. It's actually a process to find someone. It's then when you do find someone, it's a process to train them.
Yeah.
And we're in that process. We probably started a bit too late, but like we're trying to catch up.
Yeah, and for a startup, you can't just have any guy working there or girl. You have to have someone that actually sees what has to be done and does it. You can't be there over their shoulders and tell them what to do all the time. That will not work. And that I guess is the kind of support manager that you need, that the one that will actually see what has to get done, find solutions, implement them on the part-time support people and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, if someone is watching right now, then like write an email or something.
Where?
Probably just at like contact@pink.gg. That's probably the best place. But we'll find it somehow. Maybe DM me on Telegram, and then I promise at some point I read it. Hopefully a bit sooner. But if someone feels like they can add value, and that's like genuinely asking, if someone feels like they can add value, then please do apply and please do reach out.
So here right now we have 3 careers linked on pink.gg. So Pink is your company that built the code and the one that runs the node for Wax and for a few other blockchains. So this is your parent company that owns Atomichub, I guess.
Yeah, it is.
So this is where you need business developer, you need a UX design, you need community manager, and you can find everything here. So if you're interested, just go in here and you can find it. I mean, a lot of people want to work in blockchain and in tech, and they want to work remote. They want to do all of this, but they might not know where to start. So what kind of requirements are needed for the devs and do they have to have experience in blockchain? Do they have to experience with NFTs? What kind of requirements do you see there outside of being a good person to work with?
Being a good person is great. That would be a good start. No, I mean it sort of depends. For example, for the front-end developers, we don't expect them to have experience with blockchain, because we just know if we would expect that, we would just limit the people too much. And also that's something that we can teach. Then on the other hand, for a community manager that has no idea how this community works, like that's just not going to work. For a community manager, we need someone who's already active in the community, who understands the space, who likes the space. But apart from that, like we're not requiring any special degrees, or we're not requiring anything really. If you're just good fit and can work and want to work fast, and like then we'll talk to you.
That's awesome, and I think that's a good opportunity for a lot of people, because community work, well, it does require a lot of skill, patience. It does require a lot of time. It is not something very, very easy to do. But it doesn't require the years of coding experience that a developer would require. It is something more easily achieved. And do you see some kind of time zone that is better to have for you? Do you want someone based in your time zone, another time zone? Does it matter?
Well, I mean, for a community manager in particular, it really doesn't matter, because if someone is like on the west coast of the US and like 9 hours away from our time zone, that probably still works, because like community management, we can probably just hire 2 people at the end of the day. Like in general, it obviously helps if they're in like a somewhat close to a European time zone, so that we can actually work together properly in a team.
That's nice, and I hope you get some applications, because you need good people from the community, and I guess a lot of the community folks will watch this or get the message, so that's good.
Yeah, and that's actually something we will also like push on our socials pretty soon. Like the new Pink site that you're seeing there, I think that already only exists for two weeks or so, when we decided we needed to have a bit of a nicer looking site, and together with that, we also like set up the job postings, and once we have those finalized, we will sort of approach the community with this, especially like for a community manager position. Then it obviously is really important to find someone from the community.
Yeah, that's it's very good. So people can go here and they can find every information they need. So yeah, I think that's good. So okay, so for Atomicab, we had a question here right now from David Boller, which is he has two collections on Atomicab, and he wondered how can collection be featured on top of Atomicab. I mean, that is a great way for them to reach more people if they are a smaller project. Do you have a fixed fee? Do they have to pause some kind of yeah? What's the system?
Yeah, I mean, the system is basically DM me and ask me about it. That's basically the system right now. So like we do sell them, like just to get that out of the way, we do charge money for that. But then apart from that, just DM me and anyone that's interested, I will give them the details. I would like to automate this system where it's more like of a traditional ad buying experience because like one, because I don't want to have to manage all of it manually, because that just doesn't really scale properly, but also because I think it would give a lot more flexibility if there's just a portal where any collection that is interested can just book a slot, for example. Or then it could even be like cost per impression instead of a fixed price. So I think like at some point when we get to that, we will automate it where it's like a proper system where people will just log in and then just choose it. Right now, the system is DM me and ask me about it.
So, and David has a valid point there. You said that you have a lot of messages. It's very hard for you to get through them all. How long does it take for you to get through, get a DM, like read the DMs? Because like for myself, some days I get 20, 30, 40 different people that write to me, and it takes a lot of time for me to go through them. I try to respond to each and one of them, which some days is hours of work. And I guess you are not getting less than I do.
Yeah, I think it's kind of RNG based for me. Like it mostly depends on if I have any free time. I usually go through the DMs, and sometimes when I've just worked through them all and you write a DM, then maybe I see it and I reply instantly. Then sometimes, like for example, last week I just have a ton of pack launches that we're managing. I need to set all of those up. I'm like speaking to our recruiter. I'm speaking to like new candidates for our jobs. And then I'm also probably speaking to a lawyer and just so many things. And then it's just like the DMs sort of are lower priority there because they're in a way not as urgent. I fully understand, like for the people that are actually writing me, for them, it's obviously a very different topic and they would like to get a response from me. And that's like, it hurts me to have to let them wait because like, I know for the first like 6, 7, 8 months of Atomicab, I would respond to everyone pretty much instantly because then it was just possible. Like I would just sit at my computer, I have no open DMs, and then someone DMs me and I just see it and I think, oh, nice, I can respond to someone. Whereas now if I look at my Telegram and see like 40 unread messages and someone new DMs me, even if I see it, I sometimes feel like there are other people that have been waiting longer and it's difficult.
Yeah, it is. And yeah, and I feel bad each time someone has to wait 5 days for a response from me, but it happens sometimes when I'm busy and then it's weekend and I try to take some time off.
Yeah.
Yeah, David says you need a personal assistant to help you with this, and I guess that's not wrong, but it's not as easy to get, and I know that myself because I want one myself. I want to have someone
like,
helping
how do
me.
you find a personal assistant that actually understands all the questions that are like related to atomic assets? Also, like a lot of the people DM me because they have technical questions. How should a personal assistant ever answer those for me? It just doesn't really work. I think the solution more is like, because I actually enjoy responding to people, it's not like a chore for me. I actually, when I have the time, I like helping these people. I like responding to everyone. So I think it's more of a, like find people to, like, for example, for the business development manager role, like the sales role, find someone who can communicate with these other projects that we're managing. Like when I don't have to do that anymore, then I just have more free time to actually respond to these individual DMs.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the way to go. I have a similar issue because I want someone to help me. I have way too much work to do right now because I work full time with the infrastructure we has and everything, and then I have my YouTube, and then I have all the communities, and in a way it's way more than 40-hour week, that's for sure. So I need someone to help me because with all the NFT sales and all the projects I'm doing with the slices being sold and everything, and all the airdrops, it is a lot of hours I need to put at that, and it would be nice to have someone helping. But it's hard because the best case, that person also has to understand the Swedish tax system. They have to help me to sort and go through all these data points that I have to do my booking and bookkeeping and everything like that. But that's another topic. So with your platform, there is a lot of bots there. As soon as there is a drop, they are there and they are buying. You guys have added CAPTCHA to solve that. You also added rate limiting in CAPTCHA to reduce them using multiple IP, multiple in one IP, but they can just set up more IPs and proxies and things, and they can get around that. Is this cat and mouse game something that you think you can solve? Is it something that you can help in a short time or long time? What's the plan there?
Yeah, I think you're describing it well when you're saying cat and mouse game, because that's really what it is. Like, they create bots, we create some system to combat it. They think of a way to go around that. We need to think of something new. I honestly think we won't be able to solve it 100%. That just doesn't work, because at the nature of it, it is a cat and mouse game. I think in general, like, bots are just always a part of a blockchain. There's just no way around that. That's also why we're not banning accounts, because like, people are asking us, why aren't we banning accounts? And then like, yeah, we can ban them, and then it probably takes them an hour to modify their script to simply switch to another account every time they're banned. Like, it doesn't help because they can just create new accounts. Yeah. So like, one really hardcore way to do it would be like to have users do KYC, and then we only allow KYC'd accounts for certain actions. That also is like pretty big change, and also can like hurt real users that perhaps just can't do KYC or don't want to do KYC, which I can understand. Like, that is a way where it's a pretty meaningful solution, everything, but it's also a very radical one, and all the other things are sort of like just cat and mouse games. I think, like, for example, the CAPTCHAs on the drops, they do help. It's a bit frustrating because every time there is a CAPTCHA drop and then they sell out quickly, we still see a lot of like people writing, oh my god, it's the bots, and I just don't think it is. It's not like I'm just refusing to believe it is. I've just not seen any evidence that there actually are bots who can like beat the CAPTCHA. So I think that does help.
Then there was actually a video going through a week or so ago that showed a guy that had bots solving CAPTCHAs and buying like this. And he had,
yeah, I mean, they can solve CAPTCHAs. Like, there's no question that bots can solve CAPTCHAs, but I believe they're slower than humans. I think that's the important thing. At least I hope so. And genuinely, if it isn't the case, if anyone has evidence suggesting otherwise, we want to see it. Like, it's not that we're just refusing to look at it, but I think that does help. Another topic are the market bots. And I just don't think there's a lot to do there. And I think that's probably not a very popular opinion and not a popular thing of me to say, but I just don't see a way to limit that without making very radical changes. Like KYC, that would be a radical change that could limit it. But apart from that, I just don't really see it. Like, I don't see what we can do.
But perhaps like one reason one solution that a lot of people have started to do projects, they'd use a whitelist. So they set up their own whitelist for the drops. That is a little bit hard to do for someone that don't have developers, because they need to understand JSON data, push it for the drop, and it costs more RAM, and like it's not as straightforward as there's a form. You just add a list of accounts here, and those are the only one that could buy from your collection. And when you create a new drop, it's only for those whitelisted accounts, because right now you have to add a whitelisted accounts to each drop. Is that something that could be done, like a user interface where the collection owner can actually whitelist accounts more easily in the NFT creator, and that follows all of their drops. If they like when you create a drop, perhaps you have use my whitelist or something like that.
That's actually a good point. Like when I'm talking about these solutions, I'm always thinking about the like generalized solution that works for everyone, and that's where it's really hard. But what you're describing, like where a collection or project can set their own whitelists and they sort of limit it through their own efforts where they can like monitor it, that does work. And like I think that really works well. And what you're saying is 100% true. Like the way to really make it effective is just to make it accessible. And like the key to that obviously is having a drop creator interface on Atomicasset, which is also something we wanted to do for like the last 8 months. And and it's sort of like our plan was always get the NFT creator redone first and then the drop creator. Because we never got the NFT creator redone, we didn't get to the drop creator. But that's also something like that's 100% true. When we make that more accessible, that will become a feasible option.
Yeah, and that is very good because like right now I have this problem when I want to sell my next drop of slices. So with atomic drops, I can get, so you actually give me the country. They have to set the country of origin, and this is great for directing VAT. But for a European country, especially from tomorrow, when rules become a little bit more enforced in Europe, with the shared VAT across all Europe in a nice way, you will actually have to have 2 data points for a VAT cell. Well, 2 data points for any cell. Either you need a name, their address, or like you need, well, I don't even think name is enough. You need an address or you need a phone number according to my VAT expert, which could be wrong. It's they only give advice. They don't give final anything. Just, I think it's like this, and then you have to make your own assumption. So like VAT is a boring subject, but it's also relevant because people are selling digital assets, and that is the same thing as you sell any other kind of things online. You have to, if you sell to customers, you are a business if you reach over a certain amount of money, and at that point you are responsible to pay VAT to the country where you have a buyer. And in Europe, that is if you cross over 10,000 euro over a year, then you will have to report VAT for each country of origin, and that's different rules all over the world. I do not know them all, which is the reason why I have not launched my merch site, for example. How are you guys dealing with that for primary sales or for markets and everything like that?
Yeah, it's like on the one hand, it is a boring issue, but on the other hand, it's a highly important issue because it can really kill everything if you don't do it right. And we believe to be compliant. In our opinion, we are compliant, but I will admit there is no 100% certainty here. Like there is an argument for like otherwise, and that's also why we are working with like one, accountants, also like lawyers in the space to make sure that one, we are compliant, and B, like make changes where necessary. And it's like we don't have the 100% solution yet. It's sort of like the sales are happening on the blockchain, and for the sellers themselves, then it becomes complex. Then there's also the question of should we maybe just offer tools to make it easier for the sellers? And it's difficult. Like honestly, I can't give a super smart answer to that because it's just so nuanced, and then it gets complex because it's not like there's one law that you need to follow. There's hundreds of countries all over the world, and they all think of something themselves. And now the EU is like sort of the same, but then there's all these other countries, and you need to be compliant everywhere. You can't just be compliant. Oh, let's just be compliant here and not somewhere else. And it's a super complex topic. And that's also something where like, when we got into it, that's not what we anticipated to be like something that we spend a lot of time on, but now it is.
Yeah, it is. It is very hard because like reading these laws and following them is highly important for any major collection. any major project that are selling for a higher amount of money, let's say 10,000 euro per year. And that is a high amount of money for a private person. It's a low amount of money for a business. If they pass that, they will have to comply with this, probably. There is no going around this. And the higher number you get, the more compliance you will have to make sure that you do, because the more interested every government will be at the future to find out this information. And we are on a blockchain. Every sale is public. If that person, like people from a country send out in their tax report, they are honest, they report everything, and they provide their wax accounts for the government. They now can see what NFTs they bought, and they can backtrack this. They don't have this data right now, they don't have the tools, but everything is publicly available, so this will be correct. It is very easy for them to get this information. The question is just when they have the tools to do that. And if you do not comply with all of these regulations, like my VAT expert in Sweden, there's a tax guy that is, his job is to make sure that the businesses in that firm, it's a big firm all over Sweden, that they comply with the VAT all over the world. And he says that some of the countries in Eastern Europe, since they focus on the European countries, they will actually add a fee that is a percentage based on each day you miss giving them their VAT. If you miss it in Sweden, that is a fixed rate of 62 euros, which is not a problem. Like if you don't pay it for Sweden, it doesn't matter. At some point, they will tell you, pay us, and you also have this fee of 62 euros. But for some countries, that will go up into thousands of dollars, and probably more than you actually should have paid from the start. And that is very difficult. And like for all the primary sales, you do collect countries since I think it was October or November. And this is good. I've been in conversation with Fabian all along, that I said, hey, I think we will have to pay VAT. And he's like, yeah, we are talking to people as well. We understand this. And then you added the country code pretty quickly. But that is not enough. And how can you as a business help projects collect another data point which is required for European countries starting from tomorrow, probably from before, I'm not sure. Is that something you can do? Because keeping personal information is not easy, and doing that in a like transparent way is even harder. Because if I give you my name, my address, and my phone number, like I'm from Sweden, we are already doxed by our government. You can find my name, you can find my address, you can find everything about me if you just use Google. Everything is public in Sweden, but that is not the case everywhere.
Yeah, it's that's where like adding just the country is sort of easy, and it's like we can just push it on the blockchain without many privacy concerns, because like it's just country. But for example, you were talking about the phone number. Like we can't just push phone numbers to the blockchain. That's just not a good idea. And people won't like that if we just publish their phone numbers. So it's a very complex topic, and honestly one where like we don't have a 100% answer to yet. I can assure you we're working with like lawyers who actually know lawyers and accountants who like actually know their stuff. And we believe that right now we are compliant, and we want to make sure that it stays this way. And we want to make sure that it also is like reasonably easy for sellers to be compliant. And we will have to like, there will be a lot of talks and a lot of fees sent over to our lawyers and high hourly rates to figure that out, but we will do it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a boring subject, but it is interesting to figure out this, especially since for myself, I was like, yeah, I got one data point is okay, and then my NFTs got listed on our planet, and this became a personal problem because, like, the blessing and the curse of our planet was that my slices started to sell like crazy. The like for April, May, and June, if you just go and look at the sales, it is about $9,000 to $10,000 per month, which means that I passed this requirement for sure. Which means I do not have enough information on my buyers to fully comply with this, which is a big problem, which is something I need to solve as soon as possible before the next sale. And I have created I have a tool for that. It is my tool is live. Well, I have the tool. It's not 100% done yet. But it is a whitelist based on, hey, you need to give me more information. Right now it has no fancy user interface, it's just this. So people will have to add their account name, their country code, phone number, and their Minecraft username. And this is something I will have to store off a blockchain privately and hide. And this is something that each project will have to do. Do you think that they are doing this? Do you think this will be a problem? What do you see from this?
I just won't comment on whether they're doing this. That's up to them. I think they will have to do it. Like, that's just the reality of it. You can't just ignore it. And like, that's where we can also add value as like a company to make it easy for them. But it's complicated. And it's like, for us as like this interface for it all, it's even more complicated. If we were just selling something ourselves, we could build an interface similar to yours, right? And that would work. We could figure that out. But doing it for this interface, for this platform that works for everyone, and in a generalized way, and to not like, and to make sure that privacy still is a thing, and to not just publish everything. Also, perhaps to like think about, like, do users really want to give their phone numbers to every single project? Like, for you, you seem like a nice, trustworthy guy. I would be comfortable giving you my phone number. Maybe I'm not comfortable giving my phone number to some random drop, but I still want to kind of get their NFT. And it's like, it's a very hard topic.
Yeah, it is very hard. And I mean, collections have to do something for this, and like one way for me is I have to have a whitelist. I don't have a choice. I have to do this to comply with my local regulations, or I will get fucked by the government in 1, 2, 3, 4, or 10 years. Sometime that will happen. And I rather be I want to sleep at night not worrying about this enough. Like, doing all the crypto trades, like, if you live in Sweden, each time you sell an NFT, that is actually a buy of wax. So you have to register it as you buy wax, and each time you buy an NFT, you actually sell wax. And you have to register each of these trades to your tax office in the future, well, each year when you do your taxes. And in Sweden, you also have to have an average price of wax based on, like, all my wax, each time I buy more wax, I have to recalculate the average price of my wax and use that to calculate if I have a loss or a profit of each sale. Which means that each NFT sell or buy, I will have to recalculate this number, which is something that is very hard to do for people. You need to have, like, you can't do this manually. I mean, last year I had 29,000 transactions. Try to do that manually. It is impossible to do, considering you have to, okay, I need to redo my math here, and then I have a sell, I have to do that, and then I have some trades on a exchange, and then I have to add those into the dates as well, and the timings and everything. It is very complex, and we need tools for this. I am actually building a tool for it, but I don't think I will be done for next year either, because I'm buying a farm, my time will be limited, and building a tax tool is very time consuming, and you have to do it right for people to use it, and they have to rely on it. It has to be correct. If not, like what's the point on if, hey, I give you this information, it's not correct. And I don't want them to say, hey, we got it from Anders' tool, this is legit.
It's his fault.
Yeah, and then it's not. So that could be a problem, especially like a business. You can get sued for that and whatever boring things. So that is...
getting sued probably isn't boring anymore if you're the one getting sued. But yeah. I mean, it's and honestly, like, just from philosophical standpoint, I have no problem with paying taxes. I would appreciate it if it weren't so complicated, but I get it. Like, it's difficult.
Yeah, and then each country has different rules, so people will have to do this in other ways. Like in Spain, if you sell wax, you have to, like, it's first in, first out. So the first wax you bought is the one that you sell the first time. The second wax you bought is the one you sell the second time, and you have to keep track of that. So that is a completely different system, and so each of these regions is different, and that is another boring thing that I talked about this pretty often, because I want to give people information about this, and then they can choose if they want to comply with this or not. because a lot of people do not understand that each of these trades is a taxable event, at least in a lot of countries. It is different, like in Germany, like where you live. If you buy a crypto and hold it for a year, it's tax-free. In Canada, you can go and you can buy and trade crypto as much as you want. It's tax-free until you take it out into fiat. In Portugal, you have everything crypto is tax-free, so you don't have to do anything of this right now. And it is a bit different for a lot of countries, and you need to understand this, and it's so boring and it's a lot of work, but it's you might be in a sad position if you don't. But that's enough of taxes and VAT. We know that you guys are working on it. Collections need to comply with this. What is happening on Atomichub now that you have 2 full-time developers working to help you out with this? Well, you had 3, 2 front ends and 1 back end being hired, right? Or what was it?
Well, yeah, it's like 2 front end devs already working right now, 1 front end dev starting a month from now. Actually, 1 more front end dev as like a freelancer currently sort of trying out. And then we also like just hired someone for DevOps so that Fabian can finally give that away and then not have to worry about that too much anymore. I mean, right now it's sort of like we're not working on the big features yet. Where like we are working on like the new NFT creator. One of them is just focusing on that, refactoring it, restructuring it, making sure that it just works better. And as I said, since we don't have a UI UX designer yet, it won't be like an amazing user experience yet, but it will definitely improve. And then in the future, we can improve it even more. One of them is currently, I think, just adding lots of small things, like just small quality of life improvements. For example, just adding a date filter for the transfer history. Like that seems like it's obvious, but then it's one of 1,000 things and you can't get them all then, but like just adding like some more filters and stuff, like just small quality of life improvements.
I think you recently added this for each collection as well. So you can go down and
that's
find
true.
Top buyers and sellers and things like that.
Yeah, so these aren't like super exciting features, but they just make the experience a bit better and like it adds up. And then one of them, I think he's mainly working on sort of like the way the project is structured from like this code point of view. So not changing how it looks like, but changing how we work with it so that it like scales better into working as a team on it. Because before that, it was mainly just Fabian. And then if it's just one person writing on it, it's sort of straightforward. But then now that we have a team, we want to formalize it a bit more. And then I don't 100% understand what he's doing. Like I know the general idea of just restructuring sort of the base layer. Nothing that you can see, but something that will make working on it easier for us.
And your notification system was something that was working before. When the traffic went crazy, what happened and what's the plan there?
Yeah, so actually the reason it's not like there's just a bug that we would need to fix. That's not it. It's actually the notification system was relying on an old API, which then didn't scale anymore with like all the volume that we saw. So it just didn't work anymore. And now we need to rework it with like our new APIs, and we want to make it sort of modular where we can perhaps even send you an email if you've sold something, if you want that, of course. Like we're not just sending random emails out, but where you could sign up or maybe add some like Telegram bot part of it where they DM you on Telegram. So we want to build this modular system, and that has also been like quite high on the to-do list, but then there's always other things that pop up. But that's something that we also know how valuable it is. We are a bit worried that if we get it ready without really thinking about it, it could be abused for spam. Like just imagine some bot just sending you random trade offers all the time and then you're spammed with notifications. Like that's not a great experience. So when designing it, we need to make sure that we cover that case and then that we make sure that it won't be abused for this. And that's why, like where before it was a pretty straightforward piece of technology, it's now becoming a lot more complex and like a completely new piece of technology. So it's not like there's a bug that we haven't fixed, but it's actually, we need to recreate it from scratch and like in in a more sophisticated manner, so to say. But it's like I know that it's important, and I know how much value it adds to have that. So like we definitely want to get it done. Hopefully it's not another case of the NFT creator, which we want to do for 12 months. I really hope that we get it done rather soon.
Yeah, I mean, the NFT creator is awesome as long as you understand it and know that sometimes, like one of the most annoying things, I guess, is when you add an image and it doesn't register when you create a template.
Yeah.
And then you can't remove a template. And
yeah, that's just not great.
But yeah, but overall, it's very straightforward as long as you understand it. I mean, how that works, I created one as when you launched on EOS. When you launched there, I created a tutorial, and that is one of my most watched videos. Quickly after how to transfer wax, which I think is kind of funny because that is the most straightforward thing on wax in my opinion, but it has over 13,000 views. So I guess that is one of the big problems that we take for granted that isn't easy, and that just means if sending wax is difficult, doing anything on the NFT creator is very difficult.
Yeah, and I get it. Like for someone new to the space, it's not as straightforward as for someone who knows the space and who understands it. So it's like there needs to be some like guidance for the user. And I think that's something where UX UI designer will like really step up the game, where they can think of a process to like not just throw text fields and input fields at the user, but actually like explain what does this actually mean? Like, what are you doing right now? And I think that can be like, that's probably the thing that can be improved the most, the NFT creator right now, because all the other things like the market, I mean, how can you change the marketplace? It's just a marketplace, and you have just some filters, and then you search for something. That's just how marketplaces work. There's no big innovation that you can bring there, except maybe like advanced filtering or something, or advanced sorting. There are fun things you can do, but at the end it still stays the same. But the NFT creator, that's where you can really like hold the hand of a user and like ask him, explain every step, and then I think it will feel a lot less intimidating.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even though your creator is 1 year old and you wanted to change it as soon as you created it because you are the one that created it and you don't work with front end stuff. That is one reason that people could hear. I think we talked about it in the last interview, or
Probably,
one of them. And like, even though you say that, if you go into other blockchains, NFT marketplaces, they are horrible. They have no search functions. If they do, they are terrible. If you go and try to browse their NFTs, it's impossible. There is no order. You have like, you can't go and just browse something on Atomicasset. All you need to do is you go to the market, you have your collections here, and you can find things directly. And like, if you're on a desktop, this is very simple. I don't use my mobile, so I would not know how difficult it is. But you just find, okay, the top one collection is the one that has sold most the last 24 hours. And that changes as long as that volume is changed. So we have the most active collections in the top. So we can just go to Upload World and we can see that here we have some NFTs. We can change the filter. Perhaps people need to understand, like, okay, sometimes we have the rarity filters. What are these things below here? Like, we have collectibles, we have items, but this is just you need to understand how each collection is set up, I guess, because they will be a little bit different. And like, what's different between rig 1 and 2, and that's the collection problem. At least it's not like Dark Country where you actually have it's very difficult to actually browse anything they have, which is sad. But even with all of these, like, it is a little bit hard some aspects, but it's so much better than everything else we have.
Yeah, that's probably true. And I think that's like a combination of us not doing a horrible job, but also like it's sort of, we just look great in comparison to these other crypto projects. If you compare us to non-crypto projects, we aren't that great probably. Like there's still a lot of room for improvement. But I mean, like something is right, because otherwise people wouldn't be on the site all the time. So I think we have a good baseline and something good that we can work with for the future.
Yeah, one thing that Wax Whale is just no, it was Wax Whales that wrote it, that it would be good to be able to filter to freshly whitelisted collections, so you can find something new. That would be a nice filter as well.
That's probably like the area of more advanced sorting, also like some sort of hotness sorting, where like you already know it on Twitter, like you're not just showing them in the direction, in the order that they've been posted. You see them based on some magical algorithm where they decide what is most interesting to you. And I think that can work, like that can also work for NFTs, and that can then like showcase, like bring new projects some visibility. And it also means that like these artists, for example, who only put out 10 NFTs perhaps, that they are not drowned out by all the R Planet NFTs or all the Alien World NFTs.
Yeah.
So like that's certainly something that can be improved, like this visibility for collections.
Yeah, and like I don't know how many sales there has been already, or listings on Atomichub. There is over, like, I just tried to check quickly, and it's way over 23 million listings of NFTs so far. And something that I find funny now is that this is the first one. And this is if I zoom in here, this is a meme that I created a long time ago. So when I bought the Block One account on Wax, which I think is very funny, and for people that don't know, that Block One is the one that created EOS.io, the code that EOS uses, and their account on EOS is B1, so Block One, and I bought that on Wax for fun, and then I've started to use it a lot. So my real collection is actually Anio.B1, so it looks like I'm a Block One person, which was kind of a problem for me to get whitelisted, by the way. I had to specify that. But yeah, so this is actually the first sale ever listed also on Atomica, which is fun. Yeah, that's nice. But now,
honestly, actually, someone might be watching and remembering that now, because like you remember when we launched Atomic Assets, we had, I think, 150 NFTs who were meant for all the people that joined our Telegram channel before launch.
Yeah.
And like I think only like 25% of those have actually been claimed. And I'm pretty sure that they're worth a lot by now. Like, and there are people, like, we have that list still. If they just DM me and tell me, hey, look, I still need to get that, and I can verify that it's them, like, they will get it. And I'm sure that's worth something.
Yeah, it was listed for, right now, the suggested price is 775 wax. Like,
and that probably also depends on the mint. Like, for example, there's this mint one of this thing, like, that must be crazy high. Yeah. I know, like, Rodrigo was the one who originally got that.
Yeah. So yeah, the lowest market listing right now is 1899 wax. The last trade was in 14th of May for 750 wax. I mean, this is something that you added that really made browsing this marketplace so much better. When we had a template history, and we can see clearly the fees and everything, we can see the lowest market and the suggested price. Now, this is obvious for me, but like, why is the lowest this and suggested? Some people might not understand this, and I guess that's what the UI person will help you with later.
Yeah, and then there's also something where we can just approve the suggested price, because right now it's pretty basic. I think it's just like, if there are enough sales, then it just takes the last few days and takes the median price of that. And if the volume has been very low and activity has been low, it just takes like the last 5 or 10 sales and takes the median price of that. So it's not super sophisticated. And that's like, if you have a really smart guy spending a lot of time on that, I'm sure you can come up with really like crazy algorithms that produce more accurate prices there.
Yeah, you use one math for that, and I lost the name of the app in my phone that I use. By Aloha. Tokenhead has another one, and I think NFT Hive has a third one, an algorithm to do that math. I'm not sure if NFT Hive has another one, but I think they do. I recall that somewhere in my head. And we have more and more tools for this. Like, so Tokenhead is something that you use to browse all your NFTs. So we have a lot of tools being built for Atomichub or Atomicassets. We have marketplaces being built. We have right now, I think there are 2 or 3 different mobile apps launching that will start to compete with Tokenhead, which is also very fun. I installed one the other day. I know that my friend is building one that is launching very soon in a beta mode, that will actually track sales, well, new sales of NFTs on multiple blockchains, starting with Wax, because Wax is easy and most awesome, most fun to use. But we will see more. Like Katy Perry just announced that she's dropping NFTs on Fera, and then Binance Chain will surely be one of the major NFT chains very soon. That will be interesting. And you guys have your contract on 3 blockchains, right? Or is it more?
Yeah, it's no, actually 4. It's like on Wax and on EOS, like, and for those 2 we also have Atomichub deployed. It's also on Telos, and it's also on Proton. But like there we don't have Atomichub. So I mean, obviously Wax is the big one. There's no question, and Wax is like our origin. We're coming from the Wax space, but then on EOS we're actually seeing some activity. Like we never advertised it in any way. It's just like maybe someone wants to use it because we know some people wanted to use it, so then we just deployed it there. But yeah, those are the chains where we have the contracts deployed at least. And then like at least Atomicassets, I mean, that's open source. You can deploy it wherever you want. You don't need us for that.
Whoa, I just went and looked at this. Who has the first listed sale on EOS? It was me as well. That's fun. Yeah, I mean, it does make sense to list on more blockchains. Like, one thing I would love to see is a centralized NFT marketplace where you can send your NFTs. They are held in your centralized account, because that would allow all different chains to be listed on the same marketplace, and the people can have them in their centralized account, and they can send them out to the different blockchains if they want to keep them there. That is a marketplace that I would love to see someone do, that has the balls to have the custody of all these NFTs.
Yeah, that's well, that requires either very good security or very big balls, because that's like a lot of responsibility right there.
Yeah, it is. They will have to be stored in a cold storage very quickly, especially those that are of more value, and then it would take a little bit of time to get them out. But overall, it would add low fee or no fee for trading. It would add instant trades. You would finally be able to actually trade Ethereum NFTs in any decent way. And there would be a bridge between a lot of communities, which I would think is something that is attractive. And my thought was that this is what Binance is gonna do, because they have this platform, they can do this. And then their NFT marketplace, I don't know what happened. I mean, I don't know if I guess you have seen it. I guess most people have went and looked at it. But it is actually it is far behind what you guys are doing. Let's put it like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have a head start, I guess.
Yeah, this is the marketplace. You can go in here. They only have whitelisted things, which is good. But like, you can't even search for NFTs here. they have nothing. I mean, this is the biggest blockchain company after Block One, probably. I think Block One is probably bigger. I'm not sure. The biggest blockchain company in the world, and they can't even do this properly. It's kind of funny.
Well, I'm sure like they're probably going to improve. It's probably just like they want to get the MVP out there. But then, I mean, we took 6 months pretty much from like starting development on Atomicassets, Atomichub to actually launching. So,
but you're 2 people. Actually, you built everything.
That's true. Like maybe it's just a small team inside of Binance that are doing this. Who knows?
Yeah. But you built the Atomic Asset contract, you built the Atomic Market contract, you built the Atomic Hub. You did all of this from 2 people, and the Atomic API and all of these things. And you did it in a very short time.
I think that's where, like, if you have just a very small team of people that actually want to get it done, I think then you just, and we're like all on the same page, and there are no big discussions with project managers or product owners or whatever, and we just build, then you can actually get stuff done very quickly. And then
Yeah,
as
and you
there's
need
more
the good
process and
employees.
yeah, that is well. But I mean, like, if you really look at it, the first version of Atomic Hub, obviously it's different from what we have today, but the baseline is still the same.
Yeah.
And like by now we've easily put in like probably 5 times the effort, 5 times the hours that we have had put in at that point. But like the relative improvement isn't that huge anymore, where like really the beginning was what set all the groundwork in a way.
Yeah.
And then like when you have that groundwork, then you get to these small features which also take a lot of time, and then you get like diminishing returns in a way, probably, but also worth it to actually like go from a good product to a great product. I think that's like, even though in terms of user experience it's not a huge step, just like overall it is a huge step, because then you become something, you have a product that people actually love and that they don't just use, but they actually love to use it.
Yeah, exactly. And like many times, the biggest lack for me on Atomicab was the search filter. It's that's why I want to use NFT Hive a lot of times, just for the search filter. But even with that said, I always end up coming back and using Atomicab for 95% of all NFT stuff I do. And I don't know why, but it's something that is done correctly on Atomic Hub that isn't done correctly on Waxplorer before, NFT Hive now, or Waxstash. There is something that makes me come back, and I don't know why, because I have tried to use Waxstash because I think the user interface there when they redid the site is very easy for people to understand. It is a page that people can actually go and look. Is more easy accessible. Like you can go here, you can directly find find the filters and everything, how everything works. You can go and you can find different collections, and when you do, they are saved in the top. You can find them. Very simple. Yet I don't go there to buy NFTs. I always go here to buy all my NFTs. And like on NFT Hive, you have all the search filters. You can browse things, and it's awesome. The tools are great. Everything is great, but I don't go there to buy NFTs. I do not know why I always go here.
Well, there's perhaps some secret sauce, is a secret ingredient in Atomic Hub that perhaps we can't quantify it, because like I couldn't say like what's the one big thing, but I guess I think the thing that we do have going on for us is that we just cover all the important things, and maybe we don't cover them perfectly, but we cover them pretty well, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Justin said it, keep it simple, stupid. Like, yeah, you need to keep things simple. And one thing they do is they try to make things easy. They add features, but they forget how easy it should be to find things. And when you go to Atomic Hub, like when you go to the front page, you can, on desktop, since I don't use mobile for anything, but mobile is like this. So this is the mobile page. You just go here and you can actually, like, it is kind of easy to find it. I guess you will want to find something here directly where you buy it. But for me, since I always use a desktop, I just go here and I see explore market. I want to go to the market, and I know what I'm looking for. So I just go here and I find my own NFTs here, and I find them, and I can go here and I can go and look at it, and I can see everything is working great, and I can go and I can buy it if I want. Like the process is very simple. I get all the information I need very quickly. So there is something that is done here correctly. I can find the data here, the last sales, and how much is being sold for, and everything. It's very straightforward, and it's fast. I guess like I want things to happen like this, and if they don't, I go somewhere else.
Well, and that's something that we certainly spent a huge amount of time on to get things to actually work quickly at scale. Like that's not easy.
Yeah, and that's great. And I mean, we have been speaking for 90 minutes now. I think we should start to wrap this up, even though it feels like the time went past very fast, and it's been very fun. Is there anything that you want to add that people should look up for, something that is coming, something you just want to share with people either way, before we call it a day?
I mean, probably the things that we covered, and probably one important thing is just to sort of ask for forgiveness for all the, like, for the bad communication with us, and sort of like the problems in the whitelisting process. And I fully understand the frustrations, and I know a lot of people are frustrated, and I can just say we are aware of this. We are aware that it sucks. We are really trying hard. I can promise you, like, we're working nonstop to get things done and to get new people on the team to like take on these challenges. And then apart from that, like, I think we talked about all the important things, and then I guess we have to meet again another year from now. Let's see where we are then.
Yeah, hopefully a little bit sooner when you do something awesome. We will see what happens. No, but like, you have done something great. You are two young guys. You're just 22 years old. You go, like, Fabian was still in the university when you launched.
I also was. I am not as often, perhaps.
Okay, so you were both in school and you were building this in 6 months at the same time as you were in school. That probably means you didn't do as much and as good as you should have done in school. But you were there, you were probably not sleeping a lot, working, you were probably not out partying a lot. You were doing this and you have been doing it since then, and keep building on things. And like, outward, sometimes it probably looks slow. You say, hey, the new NFT creator is coming soon, and you don't see anything being worked on, but everything is working on the back end with added pressure. You had a data center burning down. You had a lot of crazy things happened over the last year. And yet most of the time you have managed well. I know there was some frustration for everyone trying to buy NFTs and projects when the API didn't manage, and then there was the next thing, and the cloud wallet that didn't manage. Like, all of the problems are not on your side, but you have managed them all. And now, last while, when the pressure has been highest, you have delivered. So that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. That's cool to hear from me.
Yeah, that's it's an awesome thing that you guys have done, and you should feel proud. And one last question: how does your family feel about all you're doing, and do they understand what you have done?
Sort of. I mean, I've tried to explain it to everyone, and I think they get it somewhat. I mean, for me, it's the easy thing kind of was like, I mean, I was in university and then we started it, and now, like, university perhaps isn't the highest priority, but we're also a successful company, so it's not very hard to justify it. Like, I could imagine someone starting this and explaining to their family, I'm not going to pursue a normal job, I'm going to found my company now. That's probably a very difficult conversation to have, whereas, hey, I already have this company and it's already working so great, and now I'm just going to pursue it. That's a pretty easy conversation to have. So I mean, like, my family definitely support me in that, and yeah, pretty easy to do so when it's already successful, when by the moment that I actually make like the switch, sort of.
Yeah, and you have had over 500,000 users according to DappRadar. I guess that's 500,000 accounts. And there's $56 million traded NFTs on your platform in 1 year. And in the beginning, there was not a lot of volume going through. So most of this is in the last, I guess, 8 months, I guess.
Well, probably like the vast majority, even like the last 4 months or so. Like, those have been really the explosive growth, sort of. Before that, it was already good, but then like this year, it has really exploded.
Yeah, it's surely fun. And if we just go and look here, people can see on DappRadar, if you sort for traders, which is, for me, very interesting. All time, you are the #1 platform. 30 days, you are the #1 platform. 7 days, I think you are here as well. Today, you are below NBA Top Shot, which I think still is a great feature. Like, you are the #1 platform almost all of this, so that's awesome. Yeah, and feel proud for what you have done, and thanks for coming on, and thank you everyone for watching this, and give them give Atomicab your support, and if you want a job to work with them, they are looking for developers and community manager and business development people. You can go here on pink.gg and find that information. So that's it. Thanks everyone for watching, and have a good one.
Thank you.
My Bitcoin bowl is all I have left. Sold my house, my gold no less. The wolves are circling my heart in hands, but this man's much stronger than